Today, I have with me Cary Tober. Cary is going to go over Alloy personal training. But what we're going to do, we're going to start off with Cary's background information in franchising, how Cary got started in franchising, and then we're going to go into the summary of the business. So Cary, why don't you tell us about yourself first? How did you get involved in franchising?
Yeah, awesome, Greg. Thank you so much for having me on this. So after the 2008 to 2009 experience of what happened in the financial industry, I was done having my cup of coffee in the corporate world over at Fidelity Investments and found myself working at a butcher shop franchise in a development role. About 6 months into that, I got the opportunity to run the marketing department for them over there. I became the executive director of sales and marketing and led that work over at the franchisor for about 5 years. Unfortunately, those guys went under and I moved to New York and got a regular job again. But during that experience, I found some passion to stay in the franchise industry and actually became a franchisee myself. Working with a consultant just like you, I actually went out and purchased a kickboxing franchise, which I opened in Manhattan and had that for about 3 years until we had this global pandemic that, kind of squashed a whole bunch of stuff in Manhattan. Now, shortly before that pandemic happened, I stepped away from my position and I got an opportunity to come work at what is now the Repham Group, a very strategic franchise growth organization that, I'm happy to say I'm sitting in the seat right now and representing Alloy Personal Training. But before that, I had the pleasure of representing another fitness brand, and I also represent a health and wellness brand as well. So really got a lot of experience over the past couple of years in working in those spaces.
Well, that's perfect for you since you've already been a franchisee. So you've got, great knowledge that you can pass on to people who are looking to get into Alloy personal training, firsthand experience.
Yeah, I like to think of it as being on both sides of the coin, right? I've been seeing all these equations. I know what it takes for a good franchisor to run, really to support their franchisees, but I also have industry knowledge on the inside of what it takes to ramp up a business, a lot of the pre-sales components, what it takes to get, especially in the fitness space, to that tipping point. And for me, I got this sticker right behind my head right here. It says E is equal to R. All right. So that goes back to 2009 when I went through that interesting phase and fell into franchising. It stands for entrepreneurship is equal to recovery. And I just find like what we're going through right now in society, it's a great time to be looking at small businesses and to frankly be going out on your own and really walking the path that you want to do from an entrepreneurial standpoint.
Perfect. Yeah. With your experience, you're definitely the one to talk to about it because you're going to give them good insight. So tell us about Alloy personal training. What's that?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about Alloy, Greg, if you haven't heard it from me. So I had an opportunity to meet our founder, I think it was last April. And I always tell the story because he tried to hire me on the spot. And I said, no, I can't help you. And then about 60 days ago, I had an opportunity to jump in the seat and I was like, both feet are in, let's go. So Alloy is different in the fitness space and it offers a complete twist on the fitness industry. We don't fight for the limited discretionary income of the 25 to 35-year-olds. All right. We focus mainly on the 45 to 65-year-old age bracket. And now this age bracket, they typically hold about 70% of the nation's disposable income. So I like to use an analogy. Think about when you were 25 years old, you'd see a Porsche, you'd be like, that's a great car. I want to drive it. You probably couldn't afford it. But at 50 years old, you're going to find a way to afford that Porsche. So the differentiators for us too is we limit our sessions to about 6 people per session. All right. So we're not doing that big group sweaty high-fiving. We offer highly customized, non-modality based full body workouts. So our clients are achieving their goals without risk of injury. And we focus very heavily on injury prevention because if you are in that 45 to 65-year-old age bracket, you usually got like 1 or 2 chinks in your armor. So you need a little love, a little customization. But the interesting thing about what we do is we cap all of our facilities at about 130 members. All right. So it makes it really easy to start with a business, ramp it up, get to 130. And then because of our intense customization and our high quality relationships with our members, our retention rate's about 97%. So at 130 members, you're really only losing 4 to 5 members every single month that you need to replace. If you're in a typical boutique concept, like if you work out at an F45 or an Orange Theory Fitness where they might have 500 members, you have to replace something like 50 or 60 members every single month. So you're always in driving sales mode, spending a lot of dollars on marketing. And we're in the world where you really just get to focus on fitness, really leverage that experience.
Wow, that's perfect, especially for us folks that have had some experience in life and are up their ways.
You
That's
know what
awesome.
we call it? We call it a premium demographic, Greg.
I like that better. I like being called a premium demographic.
You're like the Cadillac of demographics.
There you go. I love it. So what's the history? How did Alloy come about? How did the founders come about forming that?
Yeah, so this is unique too, because a lot of times people come up to me and we work with mainly emerging brands and they're like, wow, this is a young brand. But so our founder, this guy, Rick Mayo, and if anybody's in the fitness space, you may have heard of him. He's been operating since 1992 and he found some substantial fame early on. He was running just one-on-one personal training. He's got his business in the 90s up to $1 million out of his location. I think at one point it was the highest revenue per square foot of any fitness facility in the country. And he was approached, a few years after opening by a franchisee of Gold's Gym and said, I love what you're doing on the personal training level. Can you write the programming for my franchise? And so he did it and it worked really well. And so then Gold's corporate called and said, can you do it for all of the Golds? And so he did that and then ended up on the board of directors at Gold's Gym. And then Anytime Fitness called and they have a lot of gyms. So he went over there and did it for them and was on the board of directors for them as well. So we licensed Alloy, personal training to about 2,500 gyms across the world. And then Boutique Fitness started knocking on his door and, Rick's an entrepreneurial guy. So he's like, I think I'm just going to franchise myself, and started doing that in 2019, kicked out some licenses. And, unfortunately 2020 was very challenging for the fitness space, but we're back at it and having a heck of a run right now.
Yeah, we noticed that with our placements that we've been doing with fitness, a lot of new placements now, and that keeps on growing in the fitness industry. So people are not wanting to stay home anymore.
Right. Absolutely. And I think what's great about it too is, like the cost to get into one of these things, we have an item 7, obviously the range is going to be somewhere between about 194 up to 363, I think it is. But we're pretty typically seeing these things built out in the 250 to 300 range per location. So most people we work with, they like the effect of being able to have multiple units. The other thing that's really cool too is it only takes 2 to 3 employees to run a single location. So, and they're non-specialized employees. In the fitness space, typically you're paying a manager anywhere from $38,000 to $45,000 a year. We're compensating way more than that, and we're validating as a semi-absentee ownership model for the owners.
Perfect. What kind of support do you have for your franchisees? What do the support systems look like there?
Well, great question. So in addition to what Alloy has on their team, right, they have about 4 or 5 people on their end, and they outsource a whole bunch because Rick's experience over 30 years in the fitness industry has allowed him to really meet a ton of people. So their corporate office is out there. They're doing exceptionally well. Rick is a phenomenal leader. He's got a COO, I think for the last 16 years she's been with him. And so don't tell Rick, but she probably really runs the day-to-day. And then they've layered in a couple of really phenomenal vice presidents and directors below them who are overseeing things like the programming and the actual retail development. But in addition to that, as I mentioned up front, I'm with the Rep'em team. So Rep'em Group, we operate in 4 different verticals and we work with mainly emerging brands to help them launch up to a higher level. The 4 verticals, we work through our branding, growth, build out, and then operational scaling. And what we do is we leverage our 350 years of franchising experience, and we partner with every brand that we work with. So everything we do is in complete alignment with the franchisors and the franchisees. And so we focus on smart, sustainable growth. We're not in the business, and you've been in franchising for a minute, so you've seen this. We're not in the business of going out there and blasting out 500 locations and opening 50 of them. That's not in our best interest. We want to make sure that everybody that we place is in the right position to actually be successful and open.
Perfect. So when you're out there, you're talking to these people that want to be, they look at your system, they say, that's great, that's perfect, just exactly the franchise I want. What are you looking for in those people? Is there a profile of any ideal franchisee or ones that will be more successful?
Yeah. I mean, I could go on this one forever. I told you I worked for a franchisor, right? So First of all, they got to be good people. That's number one. Number two, they have to like people. This is a people business. All right. We're not hiding behind computers and selling widgets. My favorite term is servant leadership, right? So you want people who are going to come in, they're going to be great owners, and they're going to empower their employees and their members to rise higher than they are. And that's really important. I mean, when we get into this, my job is just to explain the business model. And then we start looking for vision, value alignment, understanding what their growth trajectory is, and are they going to be a good fit to the system? I mean, culture is key in this. And unfortunately, as we all know, one bad franchisee can spoil a lot of franchisees. And so we want to make sure that we get the right people on board right away. I tell everybody it's a mutual evaluation process. You're doing your due diligence and we're doing ours before we sign anything.
Perfect. So what can one expect? So I just purchased my Alloy franchise, and what comes next? What's a day in the life of a franchisee like?
I'll probably go home and take a nap.
There you go.
No, so I mean, it depends on what you're going to do inside the role. So right now we're in a really interesting position. We just opened a couple of different franchises, one out in Salt Lake City and then one up in Montana. And both of these franchisees get on calls and validate with prospects as they come through. People are interested. And so the owner operator role, that person, they may actually be in the facility 40, 50 hours a week. They may actually be leading sessions, right? They go out there and coach. And that's a great way to get that salary off your books, right? And because you're actually doing work and working day in and out with the members. So they're going to be in the business. They're going to be liaising in the community. They're going to be running sessions if they're at that owner operator level. On the absentee level, and I really I'm very cautious about saying absentee or passive because I own real estate and it is not absentee and passive. You still got to be involved. But if you're semi-absentee, you're going to be managing the manager, right? Your director, VP position, you're overseeing the people who are running your facilities, and each one of those people has a couple people on their team. Now, we do have this gentleman out in Montana, and he's got a heck of a story. So he lives in Butte, Montana. He's just opened in Billings, Montana, and he lives 3 hours away from the business that he just opened. So he told me, and this is on a call, so I have this, that he has been in his facility twice and he accidentally interacted with a customer one time because they found his cell phone number on a website. Now, this gentleman also had 100 memberships. And again, we get to a capacity of 130. He had 100 memberships pre-sold with 3 weeks to go before opening. So my understanding is that they opened at or above capacity. So very excited for him because that means money on day one.
Well, that's perfect. How do you get them to get the memberships before they even open up? How does that work?
Yeah, so most fitness concepts at this point are running some sort of a pre-sale, and it's all about building a funnel. So we spend from our FDD, it's I think $30,000 to $40,000 depending on acquisition of leads up front, and that is digital advertising, getting out in the community, some payroll to staff that. And really what you do is you build a big old funnel, right? So you get a whole bunch of people interested. And we know that as you work through that funnel, about 17 to 21% of those people are going to say, you know what, I'm interested in getting a 30% discount for the first 3 months of my membership. I'll sign up and I'll try it. And you take those people, and those are your initial early adopters. Those are the pre-sold members. And in the first phases of business, they're the ones who are there on day one. What you also have is everybody left over in the funnel. So anytime that somebody leaves, you're just blasting the communication out to the funnel, and you're bringing those people into the business as well.
Perfect. Sounds like you got it all set up for them to just step right in, and you've got the background experience to tell them in real life what really owning a fitness studio is all about and what you can expect.
Yes. It's a lot of work in Manhattan.
Yeah, I'll bet that would be a big challenge over there. At
a lot of fun, a lot of fun, a lot of work.
Good deal. Well, Cary, how do they get a hold of you if they want more information?
So very easily, Cary at Repum Group, Cary at Repum Group, and you can overlay that or something. And my cell phone number, call or text first, please, 704-620-2802, alloyfranchising.com.
Perfect. Well, if you want to know firsthand what it is to run a successful fitness franchise and you're looking to get into one, then obviously Cary is the one. With his experience, he can definitely let you know. Thank you for your time today, Cary. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much.